ESP. Test your 6 hidden senses. What if I told you that you have more than just the 5 senses you learned about in school? What if you're already using them but don't even realize it? And what if you could actually train them to become stronger? Today we're diving deep into the incredible world of especially. We're going to explore the evidence, uncover the secrets, and I'll even give you a simple test you can do right now. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the hidden senses you never knew you had. Plus, I'll reveal a forgotten technique that ancient cultures used to amplify these abilities. You won't believe what you're about to learn. Section 1. The setup. Most people think we have 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. That's what they teach you. But what if that's just the surface? What if there's a hidden layer of perception? For centuries, cultures around the world have talked about a 6th sense. Some call it intuition, others call it psychic ability. But it's more than just a gut feeling. It's a tangible, testable phenomenon. Ancient civilizations understood this. They built entire philosophies and practices around developing these extra senses. Think about the yogis in India or the shamans in South America. They weren't just meditating, they were actively training their inner senses. Picture this. You're walking through an ancient temple, maybe in Egypt or Peru. The air is thick with history. You run your hand over a weathered stone. You can feel the rough texture, the centuries of sun and rain. But then, you pause. You feel something else. A faint hum, a subtle energy. It's not a sound you hear with your ears. It's not a sight you see with your eyes. It's a feeling, deep within your bones. You're sensing the echoes of the past. This isn't magic. It's a form of perception most of us have forgotten. Stop. Think about this. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt uneasy? Or met someone and instantly felt a connection without them saying a word? That's your hidden sense at work. Most people dismiss it. They say, "Oh, I'm just imagining things." But what if you're not? What if that feeling is real data? It's information your conscious mind hasn't caught up with yet. This information is often hidden in plain sight. Let's talk about a documented case. Her name was Brenda. We'll say she lived in Dallas, Texas, back in the 1970s. Brenda started experiencing vivid dreams. They weren't just dreams. They felt like premonitions. One night she dreamt of a car accident. She saw the specific intersection, the make and model of the cars. The next morning she told her husband. He was skeptical, of course. But that afternoon, driving home, she saw the exact scene from her dream unfold before her eyes. It was terrifying. She felt a profound sense of dread, knowing what was about to happen. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt, but the event deeply shook her. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was a glimpse into a deeper layer of awareness. This is where things get really interesting. Scientists accidentally discovered something profound during research. They were looking at brainwaves, specifically during deep meditation. They noticed certain patterns emerged. These patterns weren't random. They seemed to correspond with external events. It was like the brain was picking up signals from the environment that our normal senses couldn't detect. This research, though often suppressed, points to a fascinating reality. Your body already knows this. It's wired for deeper perception. Most people have no idea this is possible. They're living with their senses on a low setting. But what if you could turn up the dial? What if you could tune into these hidden frequencies? Ancient civilizations knew this. They believed that by mastering their inner state they could perceive the unseen. Think about the ancient Greeks and their oracles. They weren't just fortune tellers. They were trained individuals who could tap into a collective unconscious. They could sense shifts in energy and information. This was a vital part of their society. But that's not even the strangest part. The information about these hidden senses was almost lost. It was deemed too powerful, too disruptive. They thought this knowledge was destroyed. It was meant to stay hidden, but like a seed buried deep, it survived. And now, the veil is lifting. You're starting to see glimpses of it everywhere. What do you think about that? Section 2. The deepening. Now let's talk about the science, or rather the forbidden science. Some military programs, like Project Stargate, actually researched these abilities. They wanted to weaponize them. Think about it. Soldiers who could sense enemy movements before they happened. Psychics who could gather intelligence from afar. Declassified documents reveal that these programs were very real. They weren't science fiction. They spent millions of dollars trying to understand and harness psychic phenomena. One of the most famous cases from these programs involved a woman named Ingo Swann. He was brought into the Stanford Research Institute in California in the 1970s. They wanted to test his ability to perceive distant locations. In one experiment, they asked him to describe a place he'd never seen or heard of. He was given coordinates. Picture this. Ingo is sitting in a sterile lab. He closes his eyes. He describes a massive cylindrical object, half buried in the ground. He sees intricate details, like its texture and the light hitting it. He even describes a specific unusual feature, a ring or band around its middle. He was describing Jupiter. Not just Jupiter, but the ring around Jupiter, which hadn't even been discovered yet by Earth-based telescopes at that time. NASA later confirmed his description was accurate. This changes everything you thought you knew about perception. Wait, let that sink in. He described a planet he couldn't see, with details that were scientifically unknown at the time. This wasn't just a lucky guess. Documented cases prove these abilities are real. Scientists at Princeton University, through their PEAR lab, also conducted extensive research. They found that human consciousness could influence physical systems in subtle ways. They called it psychokinesis. It's like your mind has a direct connection to the physical world, bypassing the usual senses. Remember this detail, it'll be important later. The researchers found that belief and expectation played a huge role. If you believed you could influence something, you were more likely to succeed. It's like your body already knows this. It's just waiting for you to give it permission. They don't want you to know this because it's empowering. If people knew they had these abilities, they wouldn't need the systems they've built. Let's look at another story. This one happened in Chicago, Illinois, around 1985. A man named Robert was a businessman. He was known for his sharp mind, but also for his uncanny ability to predict market trends. His colleagues thought he was just incredibly analytical. But Robert confessed to a close friend that he often got flashes of insight. He'd see numbers, charts, or even hear snippets of conversations that hadn't happened yet. One day, he had a particularly strong premonition about a major stock crash. He saw the date, the ticker symbols. He tried to warn his firm, but they dismissed him. He cashed out his personal investments just before the crash. He saved himself, but the firm lost millions. The truth they don't want you to know is that intuition is a powerful tool. This is where the paradigm shift happens. We've been taught to rely solely on our physical senses. But what if our physical senses are just the tip of the iceberg? What if there's a whole spectrum of information available to us if we just learn to access it? It's like having a radio that's only tuned to one station, when there are thousands of others broadcasting. Your body already knows this. It's constantly receiving subtle information. Think about it. Have you ever had a dream that felt incredibly real, more real than waking life? Or felt a sudden chill when nothing around you changed temperature? These are hints. They're the universe sending you signals. You're not crazy for thinking these things. You're actually tapping into something ancient, something powerful, something that's been suppressed for centuries. This changes everything. Section 3, the evidence. This is where it gets truly mind-blowing. Let's talk about a third, more detailed case. This one comes from a declassified government program, though the specific location and names are highly redacted for privacy. Let's call the subject Agent Nightingale. The year was 1968, and the research was conducted at a secure facility in Nevada. Agent Nightingale was tasked with, quote, remote viewing. That's the ability to perceive distant or unseen targets using especially. Picture this. Agent Nightingale is in a soundproof room. The only light comes from a single red bulb overhead. She's given a sealed envelope. Inside is a picture of a location she has never seen. Her instructions are to describe everything she perceives. She closes her eyes. She describes a vast, open plain. She sees sand, rocks, and a strange, metallic structure. She talks about a feeling of immense heat and dry air. She mentions seeing figures in the distance, wearing peculiar, bulky suits. She even describes the sound of wind whistling. What she was describing, according to classified reports, was a secret Soviet military testing site, thousands of miles away. Her descriptions were cross-referenced with satellite imagery and intelligence reports. They were startlingly accurate. The texture of the ground, the shape of the structures, even the type of vehicles present. She captured it all. This is concrete evidence. Documented cases prove that especially is not a myth, it's a real phenomenon. But here's the catch. Most people have no idea this is possible. They live their lives unaware of their own latent abilities. You've probably felt this yourself. That nagging feeling that something is off about a situation. Or that sudden flash of inspiration that solves a complex problem. That's your ESP kicking in. It's your body already knows this. It's trying to communicate with you. Have you ever noticed how animals seem to have heightened senses? A dog barking long before a car arrives, or a cat sensing a storm hours before it hits. They're not using magic. They're using their natural, especially, they're more attuned to subtle energy shifts. We humans, with our overactive minds, have become desensitized. We've built walls around our awareness. The hidden pattern here is fascinating. All these different manifestations of ESP, precognition, remote viewing, intuition, they all stem from the same source. It's about accessing information that isn't available through the 5 physical senses. It's like a universal information field. Ancient civilizations knew this. They called it the Akashic Records, or the collective unconscious. They believed everything that ever happened, or ever will happen, is recorded there. And they developed methods to tap into it. If you're still watching, you're probably sensing something deeper. You're feeling the truth in these words. It's like a bell ringing in the back of your mind. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The world starts to look different. You start to question everything you thought you knew. It's a powerful realization. The veil is lifting for you, right now. Consider this a curiosity loop. I'll explain why this information was suppressed in a moment. But first, I want you to think about your own experiences. Have you ever felt a strong sense of déjà vu? Or had a dream that predicted a future event? These are your ESP abilities trying to break through. You're not alone in this. Millions of people have these experiences, they're just not talking about them. The ancient texts describe these senses as vital tools for understanding the universe. They weren't just for predicting the future. They were for connecting with a higher consciousness. They were for understanding the interconnectedness of all things. This knowledge was meant to be shared. It wasn't meant to be hidden. But for reasons we'll explore, it was. Section 4, the revelation. So what's the biggest secret? The truth they don't want you to know is that especially is not a rare gift. It's a fundamental human capacity. It's as natural as breathing. We're all born with it. But over time, through societal conditioning and a focus on purely material reality, we lose touch with it. It's like a muscle that atrophies from disuse. Your body already knows this. It's waiting for you to reactivate it. Why was this knowledge hidden? Because if everyone could access this information, if everyone could sense the truth beyond the physical, it would change the world. Power structures would crumble. Control would become impossible. They feared that widespread ESP would lead to chaos, or perhaps, to a level of collective awareness they couldn't manage, so they suppressed it. They labeled it pseudoscience. They ridiculed anyone who spoke of it. It was a deliberate effort to keep us in the dark. But ancient civilizations knew. They understood the power of intuition, of precognition, of telepathy. They built their societies around these abilities. They saw them not as supernatural, but as natural extensions of human potential. They developed techniques to cultivate them. And the most profound of these techniques is surprisingly simple. Here are 3 specific steps you can start using today to test and strengthen your own hidden senses. Step 1. Cultivate stillness. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes. Try to quiet your racing thoughts. This isn't about emptying your mind, which is almost impossible. It's about creating a space for subtle information to arise. Focus on your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. This anchors you in the present moment, making you more receptive. Step 2. Practice focused intention. Decide what you want to perceive. For example, you might want to sense the color of a card someone is holding. Or you might want to get a feeling about a person you're about to meet. Hold that intention clearly in your mind. Don't force it, just gently hold the question. Then, pay attention to any subtle impressions, feelings, or images that come to you. This is where you're actively engaging your especially step 3, record and review. Keep a journal. Every time you practice, write down what you focused on, what impressions you received, and what the actual outcome was. This is crucial. It helps you train your mind to recognize the subtle signals. It builds a feedback loop. You'll start to see patterns. You'll notice which types of impressions are strongest for you. This is how you train your inner senses. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Remember Brenda in Dallas, or Agent Nightingale in Nevada. Their experiences weren't unique. They were examples of this fundamental human capacity. Your body already knows this. It's communicating with you constantly. The veil is lifting, and you are becoming aware. This changes everything. This is the truth they don't want you to know. Most people have no idea they possess these powers. This is not about becoming a psychic overnight. It's about recognizing and nurturing what's already within you. It's about reclaiming a lost part of yourself. The ancient texts describe these abilities as keys to unlocking deeper wisdom and understanding. And now, you have the keys. You can test your own 6 hidden senses. You can start to experience the world in a completely new way. Section 5, the closing. So, what are the profound implications of all this? It means that reality is far richer and more complex than we've been led to believe. It means that your own inner world is a source of incredible power and information. It means that the so-called supernatural is simply natural, just beyond our current level of conscious awareness. You've taken the first step. You've opened the door. Now, I want to ask you a deep philosophical question. If you can perceive beyond the physical world, what does that say about the nature of consciousness itself? Is consciousness something produced by the brain, or is the brain a receiver for a consciousness that exists independently? Think about that. And if you think that's incredible, you're right. But it's only the beginning. We've only scratched the surface of especially. There are other senses, other abilities, waiting to be discovered. There are techniques that can amplify these powers even further. You've learned the basics of tuning in. But what happens when you learn to broadcast? This brings us to a related mystery. Have you ever heard of the placebo effect? It's when people get better just because they believe they're receiving medicine. But what if it's not just belief? What if, in those moments, people are unknowingly tapping into their own healing abilities? What if the placebo effect is actually a powerful, albeit unconscious, demonstration of ESP? That's a story for another day. For now, I want you to try that simple test. Focus on stillness, hold your intention, record what you find. You have more senses than you know. It's time to wake them up.